But we're gonna start with our walking toe touch. It comes up in our semis a lot. It's not necessarily a Pilates thing, but I've been feeling kind of snug, so I'm gonna do a little bit more stretching today. So you're just crossing one ankle over the other, and then you're just letting your head and your torso be heavy. And, right, for some of you, you're not gonna get that low. You might be here, and your front leg's definitely gonna be a little slightly bent as you're doing this. And just breathing into it, you're gonna get a stretch on that kind of back outside hip. It might creep up a little bit more into your lower back. And then just taking a nice big inhale in, exhale, kind of coming up. Not as slow as a roll up, but we're just gonna come up. And then just switch over to the other side. So now you're just uncrossing and recrossing to the other side. So what was your back leg is now your front leg. And again, just let your head and torso be heavy. And just trying to send breath into that tight area. And we're just gonna do it one more time on each side. And if for some reason this is too much of an intense stretch, you can always just go into a regular, I'm hiding behind my hair. You can always just go into a regular hamstring stretch. I know I got wild and crazy. I didn't pull my hair back because we were doing Pilates, but maybe that might backfire on me. Second side, second time. And coming up. And then moving into dragons, like I said, I'm just gonna do a little bit more mobility work to start with. So walking out, finding that nice high plank, bringing that foot forward, and then just taking a moment before we go into that rotation. Or I'm gonna switch to the other side so you can see what's going on with my hip. That we're actively engaging that back leg, right? So it's not relaxed. I'm sending energy all the way through that heel. And I'm thinking about trying to lower my hips down to the ground without compensating that energy through my back leg. So we're opening up the front of that hip. And then rotating towards that hip. Or front leg. Hip. It is a hip too. And then rotating away. So you all should know this from our strength classes. And then taking a moment to really feel your shoulders connected to the back of your rib cage, so you can load through those hands to step back and switch to the other side. So again, just holding this first stretch for a little bit, letting this front hip open. For a lot of you, that's going to be a tight stretch for you. And also letting that back hip open. And then adding that rotation in. Rotating towards that front leg. Hand comes down and rotating away. And let's just repeat one more time to each side. We're going to go a little bit quicker. So stepping back, stepping over to the other side. And adding that rotation. And again, back down. And rotating away. And down. Really loading through those arms, really thinking about supporting through those shoulders before you step back and switch over to the other side. And then adding those rotations. Right. Sometimes in our strength classes, I like our dragons, but we go through them pretty quickly because they're usually for damp. So we're moving through them. Sometimes it's nice to go through them a little slower. Nice. Let's walk hands towards feet. Let your head be heavy. Let your torso be heavy. And then really scooping those abdominals to come up. Nice. And then we're just gonna make our way down to the ground. So we're just gonna take one roll down, really articulate through that spine, right? So heavy head, belly's lifted. And I always kind of use that imagery of your legs are on one side of the fence, you're reaching up and over that fence. Let that head be heavy. And then bending your legs as much as you need to get your hands down on the ground, and then walking yourself out to a nice quadruped. And then once you found that quadruped position, just sitting back into whatever your child's pose is. And those of you who have knees that don't like to be compressed and flexed that much, right, you can be more of a 90-degree angle and still walk your hands out, but you're going to kind of think about pressing that chest down to the ground. Or if there's something else going on with your body, you can always give them cat-cow. So just holding that child's pose stretch for a little bit. Breathing into it. Walking your hands to one side, and you're going to think about the opposite side hip being really heavy, right? So we're getting that side body stretch. And then walking your hands to the other side. Again, so if I'm reaching over to the right side, I'm thinking about my left hip being heavy, or whatever the opposite hip is. And you can do this if you're in that higher position, right? It might be more of a, what they call wag your tail in Pilates. If you're a little popped up. Nice. And then making your way to your back. And you're just going to be on your back with a slight bend in your knees. And we're going to start with pelvic tilts. Right, I always think pelvic tilts are a good place to go. So finding that nice, comfortable position with your knees bent. And then hands down by your sides. I'm doing a quick costume adjustment here with my hair. And we're just going to go for pelvic tilt. So as you're doing this, right, the coccyx is your 6 o'clock. As you kind of press that lower back into the ground or the top of your pelvis, that's your 12. So you're just going to go from your 6 to your 12. And the first, let's do about 6, and I don't care how you make that movement happen. So you might find when you're going to your 12, you're really using your legs to make that happen. That's okay. For the first 6, and I'm going to take it away from you. So I'm about on 4. And as always, just like if you were in my class here training to be balanced, if your timing's a little different than mine, that's fine. Just catch up when you're there. You're going a little slower or faster. So now I'm going to have you do 6 more tilts, but if you're finding that you're using, right, heels digging into the ground, those hamstrings really turning on, I want you to try to turn that off. So I'm going to think about, right, the anterior, that pubic bone pulling up into my ribs to find that 12 o'clock. So there really should not be much going on with the legs to make this happen. So now I'm thinking about all the musculature, basically from my pelvic floor up, making this happen. I know, it's like one of the few times at Training to Be Balanced, I'll tell you to turn off your glutes. And we're going to go for 2 more of these. And last one. Nice. Go into neutral spine. So you are going to have a little bit of a lift in that lower back, but I still want you to think about this waistline pulling in, right? So that belly's dropping. You're almost trying to pull that, you know, I don't know if you put your hands around your waist, if you're trying to pull that in or pull away from your hands. So that's active. And then we're going to do our knee fold. So let's start with our right leg, and you're just going to let that knee fall open. Right, so you're going to be kind of in a half frog, and as you let that knee fall open, you're going to let that left side be heavy, right? So it's not going to go with you. And then you're just going to extend that leg straight down, and it's going to be externally rotated, and then you're going to rotate it so it's parallel, and then it's almost like you're trying to draw a line with your heel in the sand, we were in sand, and bring that leg back up. So we're letting it fall open. We're extending it out. Right, so we're working on the external and kind of, we're not quite going into internal rotation, we're going back to parallel. But this first knee fold open is definitely external rotation in your hip. So you might feel that kind of turn on the outer hip. That's okay. And you can see I have my opposite hand on my opposite hip. That's just kind of for me to have a kinesthetic feedback that I'm not letting that pelvis go with my leg, but I'm separating that movement. We're gonna go for one more on this side. Right, let's not forget about that waistline that I cued at the very beginning, that we haven't let that go. Should just be gently hugging in, but you still should be able to talk. Right, so it's not a bearing down. And then we're gonna just reverse it. So it's almost like you're pushing something away with your toes. And then when that leg's extended, you're gonna let your toes go out to the side. That's the external rotation that should be coming from your hip. And then drawing that froggy leg up. And then you're gonna think about almost like those inner thighs are closing. So we're just reversing the direction. And you're trying to think about this hip that you're kind of, if you follow my cueing, your right hip, the one that the leg's moving, not holding tension in it. You're actually trying to find space in it, which is sometimes easier said than done, especially if you have some things that are kind of locked down. And this time when you find your kneecap back up to the ceiling, we're just going to switch over to the other side. So again, I'm using that opposite hand, just this kind of kinesthetic cueing on that opposite hip to make sure that my hips aren't going, sorry. Let your knee fall out. I got that backwards. And then it's almost like you're drawing your heel into the ground, like you're trying to draw, you know, a line in the sand if we were laying in sand. We're going to do 6 again. Pelvis should be nice and still. How do you stabilize in that pelvis but still move the leg? And then this waistline is still hugging in. Right? It's not, again, it's not up bearing down. I'm not here where I can't really breathe. I'm just hugging it in. I'm just thinking about pulling that belly button in. And then reverse direction, sending that leg long, toes pointing up to the ceiling, letting that leg fall open, drawing that heel in, and then thinking about those inner thighs working towards each other to bring that leg back in. I feel like we haven't done knee folds in a really long time. It's like the most basic single leg exercise you can do, right? Because you are stabilizing through one side and you're asking the other side to move. So since we've moved to a lot of single leg stuff in our classes, or at least I have, I don't know what Michelle and Charlie are doing. We usually move to single leg stuff in their springtime classes to get you ready for biking and hiking and running and all that fun stuff. All right, so when your kneecaps are both up to the ceiling, we're gonna stop there. And we're gonna go into an upper ab extension. So let's find ourselves in tabletop. Let's take those hands down by the ground if you're not there. Using your breath to bring one leg up into tabletop and the other leg up into tabletop. And I just caught a peek of myself in the video and I realized my knees are more towards my belly button. So I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna put those knees directly underneath over my hips. Taking a nice big inhale in, exhale, thinking about pushing your fingertips away from you, the chest coming up into that nice upper ab curl. Taking a nice big inhale in, and then exhale, lowering back down. We're going to do 4 and 4. So 4 in tabletop, 4 with a leg extension. And then challenging yourself to see if you can get a little bit higher every single time. This is 3. We're going to go for 1 more with tabletop. And then we're going to add a part B if you want to add it. If you don't, if your body's not there today, that's fine. Just stick with tabletop. Okay, now we're gonna add a leg extension. So nice big inhale in. Exhale, chin to chest, scooping up, holding that upper ab curl, trying to extend those legs, keep that lower back anchored, bring it back in, and then lower back down. And again, and extending out. Drawing back in, And lower back down. 2 down, 2 more to go. This should be really easy after doing the vacation series for the past 3 weeks. And one last one. Nice, let those legs find the ground. And then we're gonna move into a modified teaser. I don't know how far I'm gonna go down the teaser hole this next couple weeks, but here we go. So I'm actually gonna have you flip your palms up. And you might find, I automatically did it, but you might find that you actually have to walk your feet a little bit away from you. I do want you to keep bent legs. You're gonna take a night, and we're just pretty much coming up to a V-sit. Like if you're just gonna scoop up to a sitting position. So taking a nice big inhale in, exhale, chin to chest. As always, if you have to grab those thighs, grab those thighs. Coming up, really thinking about lengthening through that spine, my collarbones. Taking a nice big inhale in, and then exhale, scooping, rolling back down. Then we're just gonna do 5 more of those. So taking a nice big inhale in, exhale, chin to chest. Also, if you're finding that sticking point, you're having a hard time moving through it, think about taking another exhale. It'll help turn on all that transverse abdominis and then rolling back down. Really trying to articulate through that spine. And again, nice big inhale in. Exhale, chin to chest. And rolling back down. And just checking in with those shoulders. They should be nice and relaxed. Right, so if you feel like you're using a lot of tension either in your neck or your shoulders, maybe taking that option to grab those thighs, have them relax, shake out that head. I think we have 2 more. Or maybe I should say, we are going to do 2 more. Since I'm the one in charge. And one last one after this. We're going to stay down at the end of this one and go into some bridging. Sue, I'm so glad that you love bridges. That somebody does. Nice. When you find yourself back down on the ground, hands come down, flip those palms over. We're going to do, when we come to the top of the bridge, we're going to do a little figure 8. I'm actually going to rotate this way. You're going to think about your hip bone kind of dipping down and then lifting, and then you're going to swing over to the other side. So we're going to start with our hands down, taking a nice big inhale in. Hopefully I'm still on camera. Yes. Taking a nice big inhale in. Exhale, scooping up. So once you get to the top of the bridge, I want you to think about your hip bones. You can pick one. So I'm going to pick my right, and I'm going to dip it down. I'm going to kind of take it to the side. I'm going to push it up to the ceiling, and then my left one's going to do the same thing to the other side. So I'm doing this little infinity sign or figure 8. And going, I'm not going to cue you how fast you're going to go on this. But we're going to go for like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Find that nice center position. Really thinking about those ribs, reaching for your hips, but nice high hips. Taking a nice big inhale in. Exhale, really being heavy through that spine as you come down. So heavy through the back of those shoulder blades, the back of the ribs, back of the waistline, and then let that waistline release as you find your sacrum on the ground. And let's just repeat that, but I'll take the counts up a little bit, just a little bit quicker. So taking a nice big inhale in. Exhale, scooping those abdominals, pubic bones, ribs, thinking about those femurs, kneecaps getting reached forward. And then you're going to do your figure 8s. I'm going to go to the left first this time for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. If you're going slower or faster than me, that's okay. 3, 2, 1. Taking a nice big inhale in. Again, really thinking about hip bone and rib connection. Taking a nice big inhale in. Exhale, articulating down through that spine. Nice. And when you're down on the ground, just hugging those knees into your chest. And then you're going to rock and roll yourself up to sitting. Just spine stretch forward. So now you're going to be more, I don't know, hip width apart with your legs. And really thinking about shoulders over ribs over hips. If you need to give yourself a booster seat, give yourself a booster seat. Or put a slight bend in your knees or both. Hands out. You're going to take a nice big inhale in and then exhale, chin to chest, really reaching forward, keeping those shoulders away from your ears. And it's like you're lifting up and over your abs. Taking a nice big inhale at the end and then exhale, reset that spine. Another image that I like for this is thinking about your hip bones getting pulled back as you reach forward. So trying to get those hip bones off your thighs. So as I reach forward, I'm almost thinking about my hip bones getting pulled off my thighs. And then coming back up. So just a different way to think of it. Other cues or visuals that people use is kind of like going up and over a beach ball. Or as my arms are reaching forward, it's almost like I have a string going through my belly button and my back reaching in the opposite direction. So hopefully one of those images work for you. We're going to do one more. Nice. And then just taking those legs, bending them. We're going to go for a roll down, but we're going to kind of take our dear sweet time getting all the way down. So nice bent legs. You can certainly do this with straight legs too if you want to. That's what you're feeling like today. So taking a nice big inhale in. Exhale. I want you to think about scooping down. Your coccyx is going to fill the ground. Your sacrum, and then you're going to stop. You're going to smile. You're going to shake your head. And then you're going to give me 10 pulses for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a nice big inhale and exhale. Roll down so your sacrum's on the ground and the back of your waistline, but that's it, just barely. And then you're going to pulse for 10, 9, shake that head if you're feeling tension, 6, 5, 4, shoulders are relaxed, 3, 2, 1. Take a nice big inhale and exhale. Roll down to the back of your waistline's down, bottom of ribs, but shoulder blades are still up. And you're going to pulse for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then all the way down. Nice work. All right, single leg bridge. Oh, let's do some articulation through our feet. I'm going to start working on a lot of foot stuff for Bay, just because we're going into sandal season, hopefully. All right, so we're going to start with both feet down on the ground, taking a nice big inhale in. Exhale, scooping up. And we'll start with the right leg. You're going to reach that right leg up to the ceiling. And once you reach that right leg up to the ceiling, you're going to look for nice level hips. We do this a lot in our strength classes. So you're going to point and flex that foot, but I really want you articulating through that whole foot. Right, so toes, and then metatarsal, and then ankle. We're going to go for 2 more. And then we're going to go for big circles. Again, biggest circle you can make with that ankle and those toes. We're going to go for 5 in each direction. This is my 3, 4, 5, and then reverse it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Send those toes up, check those hips, hands down. Oh, let's roll down with single leg. Nice big inhale in, exhale, really articulate through that spine. And since that leg's there, why don't we just give it a nice quick hamstring stretch. So I am going to keep this other leg bent. for you guys today. I'm making the executive decision on that. Check in with those shoulders, right? That we're not holding a lot of tension there. You might be more down on your thighs somewhere. Nice. And then just let that knee kind of hug into your chest, out to the side, and then down. And when we do it on one side, we have to do on the other. So we started with both feet down. So taking that nice big inhale in. Exhale, coming up with both feet anchored. I did my right leg, so now I'm going to be on my left. Just make sure you're on the opposite side. And then make sure you have level hips. And we're going to really articulate through that foot. It was a point flex. For 5. And 4. And 3. And 2. And 1. Do you still have level hips? Going into circles for 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. Reverse. 5. How's that supporting leg doing? 4. 3. Really thinking about that heel digging into the ground. 2. 1. Take a nice big inhale in. Exhale, rolling down, single leg. That leg's already up there, so grab a hold, just giving it a nice quick hamstring stretch. Letting your breath help you. Go for 2 more breaths. Hugging that knee in towards your chest. My inner thighs feel this. What did I do in my class yesterday that got those inner thighs going? Lots of things, actually. But yeah, my adductors, I definitely feel it. And then let that leg come down. All right, on your side. Oh, I don't know, pick a side, any side. I'm gonna have my right side down. We're gonna start with clams. So knees are gonna be bent. And again, that bottom waistline's lifted, top waistline's long, really stacked in the hips. Ankles are together. And you're only gonna take that knee up as far as you can without rolling back in your hips. And we're gonna go for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep your knee up and then bring your ankle up to meet it. Then keep your ankle in space and then bring your knees down to touch. And then bring your knee back up to meet your ankle and let your ankles touch. So both are up, the knees touch. Both are up and then ankles touch. And we're going for knee and ankle and knee and ankle and knee and ankle. You're about halfway through. Knee and ankle, knee and ankle, knee and ankle. 2 more of each. How's that bottom waistline doing? Is it still lifted? Or have you let it go? Nice. Let those come together. You're going to take that bottom leg, you're going to extend it long. You're going to bring your top leg and just setting down that foot wherever you can, right? So if it comes up, awesome. If you're somewhere down here, great. I just want you to think about, so wherever that foot will go, kneecap up to the ceiling. And if you want to, you can kind of take that arm and hold on to that leg, up to you. I'm just going to do a light, gentle touch in front of me. And we're just going to lift and lower that bottom leg. So I'm going to think about reaching through that heel, still lifting this bottom waistline. I'm going to lift and lower for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep that leg lifted and then do little tiny circles for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, hopefully not a death grip, and switch directions for 10, 9, if you do have a death grip, release it, 8, 7, 6, 5, hello adductor, 4, also known as inner thighs, and let that bottom leg find the ground. Nice. Pushing yourself up into a nice windmill position. I think I did this with somebody. Did I do it with my class yesterday? I don't remember. I really don't. So you're going to set up windmill legs. It does not have to be 90-90. So they can be a little bit more off in a triangle, I guess. And we're just going to sit here for a second. If you kind of feel like you're tipping over, you can always take that hand and kind of just gently encourage that spine to be straight. And then taking this back hip, we're going to rock and roll it. So I'm going to think about rolling it back. So I'm trying to get that sits bone down and then pushing it forward. And as I push it forward, right, my spine might just react to it. I might rotate a little bit. That's fine. Just let it happen. Don't overthink it. We're going to go for 8 little rock and rolls. I think we have, well, we're going to say 3. And then 2. Last one. And then we're going to press up into what we kind of call here the training to be balanced, a modern dance stretch, or variation on a theme. So the hand of the same front leg is down. The hand of the back leg is up. You're going to think about reaching forward, reaching up overhead, and then you're going to push your hips forward. So I have this nice big long arc from the back knee down all the way out those free fingertips. And then we're going to circle back down around. And then I'm actually going to have you take both your hands to that back leg and you're just going to hold on wherever you can. Right? So maybe it's an ankle, maybe it's a thigh, maybe it's a knee. And you're just going to try to sit up tall and find that rotation, making sure your shoulders aren't up by your ears. And then we're just going to repeat. So this front hand finds the ground. This back hand sweeps forward, up and over, and then you press up those hips. And then thinking about sending those hips down, thinking about sitting up as tall as you can, and then rotating over to the other side. And you also might be hands behind you with this rotation, especially if you really tighten your hips. All right, we got the other side. So I had my right side down to begin with, so now I'm going to have my left side down. We're going back to our clams. We're down on the ground. Nope, knees are bent. I'm getting ahead of myself. Bottom waistline's lifted, top waistline's lengthened, hips are stacked. Now we're going for clams. So that top knee only lifts up as much as you can keep those hips stacked. So resist that urge to roll those hips back. And we're going for 8. And 7. And 6. And 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. Keep that knee lifted and then lift your ankle to meet it. And then we're going to touch our knees together and then bring both up and touch our heels together. And knees up and heels for 8 and 7 and 6, 5. And checking in with that bottom waistline, it hasn't dropped down. As you do knees together, it is internal rotation, so you're not dropping that ankle. Last 2. And last one. Nice. Let those knees come together, extend those legs long. Top leg comes up wherever it will reach, right? It's okay if it's way down here. And then you're going to think about kneecap up to the ceiling. On this time I'm gonna give my ankle a little bit of a hug. Must be a little tighter on the side. And then thinking about lengthening through that bottom heel, and I'm gonna lift and lower for 10, 9. So even though I'm on the bottom leg, I'm still thinking about lifting this bottom waistline. I'm not letting it drop. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep that leg lifted and then circle for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Other direction. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let that leg come down. Nice. And then you're just going to push yourself up. Right, so I'm bringing that bottom leg forward. I'm finding that windmill position. So a lot of times we do cue this 90-90, but we don't need to be in 90-90 today. So where they kind of naturally comfortably go. Again, if you feel like you're tipping over, lengthen through that side. And you're going to take this back hip and you're going to think about trying to roll it back, trying to get the sits bone down, which may or may not get there, and then pushing it forward. And again, your spine might go along for that curve. Go along for the ride. And we're just going to go for 10 of these. My right hip's always notoriously a lot tighter than my left. So this is a good one for me. And we're going to go, I don't know, 3 more. I wasn't counting, I fully admit. And 2. Last one. And then going into our modern dance stretch. So we're going to really thinking about anchoring through the hand of the front leg. Back leg arm really sweeps forward. And then as you start to go into that back space, pushing those hips forward, opening up the front of that hip. If you really tighten your quads, you might actually feel this all the way down in your quads. And then letting the pelvis find the ground. Really sitting up tall, rotating towards that back leg. And again, if you're like, I don't really have that rotation or that lift, you can always take those hands behind you. Shoulders relaxed. And then we're going to repeat. So just taking that front leg hand, it finds the ground. Back leg hand reaches that back space. Breathing, you're not holding your breath. And then letting your pelvis find the ground. Sitting up tall and rotating to that back leg. Nice. Unwrapping yourself, we're going to go to our bellies for swan. So making your way over to your belly. Hands are going to be underneath shoulders. Let's do that variation today. And again, setting up those legs as far or skinny. You want them as close together, but you want to be able to keep your pubic bone and your hip bones down. So I have to go a little bit wider. Those tight hip flexors that I always talk about. And then I'm going to really think about lengthening forward to come up. So I'm going to take that nice big inhale in. Exhale, I'm going to think about my spine lengthening forward. It's almost like my hands are pulling back. My elbows are reaching back. Trying to find that length. Shoulders are relaxed. And I'm just going to do a mini swan today, so I'm not coming up all the way. And then lengthening down. So as you're doing this, I want you to practice trying to keep your lower back as long as possible. So I'm trying to find that arc in my upper back, but I'm sending my tailbone long and I'm pulling in my belly to keep my lower back as long as possible. That doesn't mean that you might not feel the muscles turn on there. We're going for 2 more. Now we're going to add a heartbeat. And again, I do cue it. I usually do, you're thinking about anchoring through the front of that pelvis, that pubic bone, those hip bones. I'm thinking about pulling in my belly. I'm trying to send that tailbone long. Okay, we're gonna play lick ma, no hands. So, coming up, taking that nice big inhale and exhale, coming up to that swan. You're gonna find that swan, that lift. You're gonna take your hands off, and then you're gonna try to slowly lower down. Hands go back down to the ground, and we're just gonna repeat that. So nice big inhale in. Exhale, really thinking about lengthening through. Trying to find that fold kind of at the base of your shoulder blades. And then at the top, lift your arms. They don't have to come high, and then lower yourself down with control. We're going for 2 more. So coming up, picking up those hands. Belly's still pulling in, so I don't want anybody pushing their belly into the ground. Just stay there. I want you to think about pulling it into your spine. Sometimes we cheat and we use our belly to kind of push it into the ground like a little kickstand, and I don't want that. I want to pull it in. Last one. And then pushing back into a nice child's pose, or a cat-cow, or a little puppy. No, I don't know. There is actually a yoga term for the ones where you're not as bent in your knees, but I can't remember. All right, we did our upper body posterior release, so let's do our lower body. So you're gonna make your way back to your belly. You're gonna go hand on top of hand, and you're gonna do forehead on top of your hands. I'm going to probably pick up my head so you can hear me, but you're supposed to be down. Unless you're looking at the screen. I get it. All right, so taking a nice big inhale in. Exhale, thinking about lengthening through those toes. Think about that pubic bone, hip bone still pressed into the ground, belly's lifted, and you're trying to get those thighs all the way off the ground. You're going to take your right leg, your left leg doesn't move. You're going to move it away from your center line and come back. It might not go very far. And then take it away from the center line and come back. We're going for 8 and 7 and 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then let those legs come down. So right, that's another single leg. Can you stabilize one and move the other? So just kind of thinking about that. Think about your knee folds, think about all the single leg stuff we do. So just repeat to the other side, taking a nice big inhale in. Exhale, pubic bone, hip bones down, lengthen through those legs. Belly's pulled in. And now my left leg's gonna move from the center line, but my right leg's gonna stay still for 10. And 9. And 8. And 7. 6. Is belly still pulling in, or did you let it relax? 5. 4. Are you holding tension in your shoulders? Stop it. 3. 2. 1. Nice. Let those legs come down. And just push back into a nice quick child's pose. And then let's actually go into a quick downward dog since we kind of turned on those hamstrings. So coming forward into that nice quadruped position, tucking those toes under, pressing through those palms, the index finger, and then send those heels down. Then we're going to add a little stretch here. We've done this one before. So I'm going to take my left hand and I'm going to reach to anywhere I can reach on the outside of my right leg. And then once I'm there, I'm going to use that left hand to press on the outside of my right leg to rotate. So for lack of a better description, I'm kind of sniffing my armpit, or I'm trying to rotate under that arm. So you really have to think about pressing through that right hand right? There's a lot of shoulder stability going on there. And then letting that left hand find the ground, and then we're just gonna switch over to the other side. So now my right hand's gonna go to the outside of my left leg. And as I go through that rotation, my hips really shouldn't rotate. My heels are both anchoring down as much as they can. Breathing. Nice. Hand can find the ground. And then just shifting forward, coming down into your quadruped. Okay, all right. Let's work on modified corkscrews to kind of end with. A little teaser introduction, a little corkscrew introduction. So we're not going to go all the way up and over today with our corkscrews if you know what exercise I'm talking about. If you don't, tune back in next week. All right, so legs up, you can just watch for a second. When you're doing this, I really want you to focus on big toes staying together, ankles staying together, knees staying together, and inner thighs staying together. So when I take my legs to the side, my opposite hip is going to come up. I'm going to circle them away from me. I'm going to think about being heavy through that lower back. And then I'm going to rotate to the other side. My hip comes up, and I come back. Right? If you have something going on with your lower back and you're like, yeah, this is not a good idea, then you can let it shift, right? So if you have something, if you have a tweaky lower back, then I do want you to have your legs shift when you go to the side, as opposed to stay together, right? So one's not right, one's not wrong, but if there's nothing going on with your lower back, I want a blue. There's something going on with your lower back, you're gonna shift through them. Actually, I'll just do it this way so you can see what's going on with my legs. I think that's a better idea. Okay, so here we go. Legs up to the ceiling. If you have tight hamstrings, they can always be bent. They can also be tabletop. I'll be nice. I'll put hands out into a giant T. So we're going to go over to the right side. My left hip's going to lift. And then I'm going to circle those feet away from me. Lower back's heavy. I'm going to circle over to the left side. My right hip's lifted. And then I'm going to bring it back. And I'm just going to change it over to the other side. Connecting it to your breath. Right? So they don't have to be big circles. I want you to really focus on that core being active and keeping those legs together if you're doing that version, or if you're doing the other version, anchoring in your hips. We're going to go for 2 more to each side. And you should, regardless of what version you're doing, you should be really anchored through your shoulders. One last one to each side. I'm shaking. I don't know how you guys are doing. Nice. Let those knees hug in. All right. I think for our grand finale, since I said I was going to do a little bit more of a gentle, more stretchy class, I'm wiggling around on the ground. Let's do a little diamond stretch. So rock and roll yourself up to sitting. All right. So sitting up tall, your little diamond legs, and these can be kind of tucked in a little bit more than what we were doing the last couple weeks. You can hold on to those ankles. I just don't want you holding on to your toes because I don't want you to pull on the outside of your ankle. We're going to sit up tall. We're going to think about finding a C curve in our spine. So I'm going to scoop my abdominals. I'm not rolling back, but I'm trying to hollow out my abdominals. My shoulders are still over my hips, and my head reaches for my tailbone. Then I'm going to keep that C curve, and I'm going to think about my top of the head going towards my feet. And if you have some tight hips and your knees are up here, I definitely want you pressing down on those sides. Then from here, you're going to try to lengthen your tailbone away from the top of your head. So my tailbone's reaching away. It's like I'm bringing my collarbones through my biceps. And I'm now at a forward diagonal, but I'm trying to find that nice lengthened spine. And then I come back up to sitting. So here, keeping shoulders over hips, I'm hollowing it. So I'm not just collapsing down. I'm hollowing out those abs. Shoulders away from ears. You might get a stretch in your lower back if you're tight there. And then you're going to dump that whole picture forward. Then you're going to think about tailbone reaching away from the top of your head. And then reset. We're going to do 2 more in that direction, then we're just going to reverse it. So really thinking about pulling in those abs, like belly buttons going towards the back of your spine. Trying to find still the biggest, or the longest length of your spine you can, even though you're curving or curling. And then tailbone away from the top of the head. So 1 more, and then we're just going to reverse it. And as you're doing this, hopefully you're finding a little bit more mobility as you go. So right now, my lower back definitely is opening up a little bit more than it did round 2, round 1. Letting your breath help you. You shouldn't be ever holding your breath in this movement. So if you're holding your breath, either inhale or exhale. All right, so now we're just going to switch it up. So here I'm sitting up tall. I'm thinking about my tailbone reaching away from the top of my head. I'm going to lean forward with that lengthened spine, and I don't want to collapse as I lean forward. So only going as far as your hips are going to take you. Then it's almost like somebody's pulling my belly button through, and I'm taking the top of my head towards my feet. So now I'm in that C curve, and then I'm going to keep that C curve, shoulders away from your ears, as I roll my shoulders back over my hips, and then I'm going to sit back up on my tail, or my sits bones. So we're just changing the circle. So lengthening forward, scoop those abdominals, top of head towards feet, chin to chest, shoulders relaxed. Take that whole picture, you're not changing the picture, you're just shifting it back so you're more on your sits bones. And coming back up. We have 2 more in this direction. Really lengthening forward. And then scooping. Belly, it's almost like my belly button's going to my spine, and that's what brings me back on my pelvis. And one last one. And just check in with those shoulders, right? That you, again, just like your pelvic tilts that we did, this should be coming from your core, not from you muscling it with your legs or your shoulders. Nice. All right, that's the end. Poof, done. I feel like that hour went by very quickly. Thanks for joining me.